Hey Rip City, this is Matisse Leibel, and it's time to open the briefcase with Casey Holdahl.
Greetings, Blizzard fans, and welcome to The Briefcase, presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. Episode 165 of The Briefcase, presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. I am Casey Holdahl, and Jrue Holiday was introduced to the Trailblazers media, and I guess to the city of Portland, on Tuesday afternoon. We'll play Jrue's comments. I know a lot of you were concerned about him not having a press conference. I tried to calm some of you down, but he had a press conference anyways, so hopefully that assuages anybody's concerns that they might have had that he had not done a press conference. I thought Jrue was fantastic. You'll hear from Jrue Holiday. We'll talk about some of the changes, the tweaks that the Trailblazers have made to their icon and association jersey that they also announced on Tuesday. And we'll do a quick update about some of the international Trailblazers and where they may or may not be playing this offseason internationally on this edition of The Briefcase, presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. Well, Jrue Holiday returned to Portland on Tuesday or sometime this week in order to have a press conference. Well, really, he returned to Portland because I believe him and his family are here getting themselves set up this offseason going into the regular season. But he had already come with his family to Portland, toured the Trailblazers practice facility. I think maybe you've seen the video of that, though that was prior to the trade being official. So they couldn't really have a press conference at that time because you couldn't really talk about it. We weren't supposed to talk about it. So he was here already. And then the trade goes final. And then the expectations there's going to be a press conference, which, is understandable expectation because that's generally how things work. Though, the timing, particularly with Summer League and everyone being in Las Vegas, and then, getting back from Vegas, that's usually the time where everyone kind of takes their vacations. So a little bit of a lag before Jrue could get back to town. And again, I don't even think it was really all that much of an important thing for the organization to get him back to do a press conference. But I do think it's a good thing that it did happen. So when him and his family were back here in Portland, looking, as I understand it, for where they're going to live this year, Jrue did sit down and took some questions from the media. We didn't stream it. It was kind of an informal press conference in the theater at the Trailblazers practice facility in Tualatin, but went on for about 12-13 minutes. Jrue answered a range of questions about a whole host of topics. He talked about, what he kind of led off with, what I thought was really interesting was his comments about the way that the Blazers treated him the last time they traded for him as part of the Damian Lillard trade. And, at that point in time, he had asked the Blazers if he could move on to another team, and they were able to fulfill that wish for him. And I think obviously that kind of meant a lot to him. So now coming back to Portland for the second time in a trade, I think they did a really good job of kind of laying the groundwork for that by treating him with respect and honoring his wishes the last time. So I think Chauncey and Joe just earn a lot of credibility with Jrue just for doing that. But a lot of comments from Jrue about how he feels like he fits on this team, particularly from a defensive perspective. The pairing between him and Damian, and how that's going to work. And I thought he had a really good answer about that. Kind of his opinion about mentorship and kind of some of the young guards in the team, Scoot and Shaedon. Also answered a question about Hansen as well, which never a bad idea to get a new point guard's opinion of Hansen, particularly with how well he played at Summer League. And I think just kind of really kind of laying the groundwork for who he is as a player and as a pro and as a vet. And that's kind of my top line takeaway from Jrue's comments on Tuesday is that the guy's just a pro. Like he knows exactly what to say, and not because he feels like he's supposed to say it, but because he actually feels it. He really, I think, understands his place in the NBA and in a locker room. I think he knows how much he's respected, and he should. His relationship with Dame, he talked quite a bit about that, both in terms of kind of the initial conversations after Dame got waived, the time that they spent in Japan winning a gold medal at the Olympics. How he feels like that pairing is going to go. He talked about the Wi-Fi a little bit as well. First he copped to the fact that it wasn't great, but then as he was finishing his press conference, as you'll see, he was like, the Wi-Fi wasn't actually that bad, which, I tend to take Jrue Holiday at his word. So just a lot of really good stuff in there. And I figured that rather than kind of parsing it out that, maybe you've already watched it on our YouTube page, but if you haven't, here is Jrue Holiday in his introductory press conference at the Trailblazers practice facility on Tuesday, answering questions about, again, Damian Lillard, Portland's young guards, kind of how he thinks he fits on the team, mentorship, defense, his relationship with Dame and Chauncey, being a family man and kind of what that means to him, and having some guys on the team who also have families. Obviously, Damian Lillard being kind of first and foremost in terms of that. And coming from a team like the Celtics and where they were at compared to the Trailblazers and where they're at now, though the Celtics, I think, probably also kind of taking a step back at this point in time, too, at least next season. So a lot of really good stuff in here. So let's go ahead and hear from Jrue Holiday in his first press conference as a Portland Trailblazer, which happened on Tuesday at the practice facility in Tualatin.
Jrue, welcome to Portland.
Thank you.
Your thoughts on the city, the team, and what's ahead of you?
Yeah, the city, I haven't spent as much time, but the team, I know I've actually played a couple of series against them, and I know the crowd here is amazing. Obviously, just being here for the little time that I have recently, everybody here seems very, very nice as a city, but the organization has been great. It's been great to me and my family, and I'm really excited to be here.
Take us back to when the trade happened. Like, where were you? How'd you find out?
I was at home.
Reaction?
I was at home in California.
Okay.
I ended up getting a call from Brad, and he ended up telling me a little bit before. So, but I was excited. I knew that obviously I got traded here before, and so it was just kind of full circle. Talking to Chauncey about it, talking to Joe about it, and I really do appreciate what they did for me the first time around. That really does mean a lot for me in my career. So I know this time around, just talking to them, they're just kind of like, I got another chance to get you, and they thought that I'd be a good piece here, so excited to be here.
Jrue, have you thought at all about kind of how you fit onto this team and the role you'll inhabit?
Honestly, we've talked about offense slightly, a little bit. Obviously, defense, I feel like I fit it anywhere. Knowing the type of defense that they had and played with. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, let's relax a little bit. Right here, hold that. Yeah, the type of defense that they had last year, super excited about. But honestly, I'm here to fit in wherever I fit in.
Jrue, a lot of the talk since this trade has happened has been about how you kind of fit with and, be able to kind of help out the young guards, particularly Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe. What do you think about those guys as far as like what you've seen from their career so far?
Younger guys that you could tell love the game of basketball. They let a hoop. You could tell they give 110% every time they play. So super excited to, if it's mentor them, but just kind of play the game, be able to go out here and show the world not just my talent, but theirs. And just from playing against them, they have long roads ahead of them. They're going to have very long careers.
Do you kind of value a mentorship role, being that kind of guy in a young locker room? Sure.
I think I really just like basketball. It doesn't really matter the age. I know when I was younger and first coming in, I had vets, but I try not to look at them as vets. More just kind of like study everything around me. And even though I'm at this age now, I feel like I still try to do the same thing, even though guys might be younger and I might not like the same type of music or we might not be in the same thing, but I also feel like that's what makes us a team, is finding commonality and be able to mesh and mesh over that and then kind of translate it to the court.
You mentioned things coming full circle. It really comes full circle when they signed Dame. Just what was your reaction?
Well, when he got released, I texted him a little emoji, and I don't know, maybe it was kind of like, what's up? Because obviously Dame loves Portland, and he's been here for years, and I know his family and stuff is here. But to be able to play with him on the same team is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And even before I left New Orleans, that was something that I've always wanted to do. So being able to do it back here, and especially with the team that Dame has really put on his back for a long time, is really cool.
Why playing? You guys play the same position. You don't normally hear guys, long for that.
I think I play every position. I think I've proven that and shown that throughout my career. I think for me, I'm a complete basketball player, so you can't just put just one position on me. And even the way the game is changing now, there's so many guys who may have never played point guard, and you come into the league and they're playing point guard now. So I feel like I'm good. I'm a good fit with anyone. And again, Dame's game is so easy to play with. He opens up the floor because of his scoring ability and his shooting ability, and he gets you open shots because of his driving ability. So I feel like what's not to want to play with.
You can let him talk about your Wi-Fi like that, though?
Yeah.
You have any defense of the Wi-Fi.
No. Yeah, no, he texted me a couple of times about the Wi-Fi. That's my bad. But it just, sometimes you just want to be off the grid, But no, seriously, I ended up getting it fixed and everything was cool. But sometimes, yeah, dealing with life without Wi-Fi can be hard. So.
Obviously, your family's so very important to you. I followed you since your college days. I know the medical struggles your wife went through and overcame. I know how important your family is to you now, always. Dame obviously made it very well known that part of the reason you wanted to come back to Portland was because of his family. How nice is it to know that you're going to be playing alongside a teammate and a friend, someone who has similar values?
Yeah, it's great. Again, like he said, he rented my house in Milwaukee, which we had kind of built that house for our kids. So we had cool toys and like rock climbing wall and stuff at the house that the kids could really play with, a nice little like toy playroom and everything. So I think to be able to come back, again, somebody who I spent a lot of time with first, early in our career with, at the time I wasn't with Nike and we were on the same circuit. So spent a lot of time in China and then winning a gold medal together. And then now coming back here, we're like, when we started off, we didn't have any kids, and now we have multiple kids. It's going to be really cool, especially because I'm not the only one that has kids. I don't know how many guys on the team have kids currently, but now I know there's somebody who has multiple kids, and really excited about that.
Jrue, you mentioned how you won that gold medal, and you have like a lot of accolades on your resume. Do you have any kind of immediate goals that you want to accomplish with the Blazers? It seems like your resume already kind of have a lot on it.
Honestly, it's to win. I feel like that's always been the ultimate goal ever since you've started playing basketball is to win. And whatever that may look like, obviously taking small wins is great, but winning is what we do, is what we play this game for. So if it's getting to the playoffs, if it's winning the championship, I feel like winning is the purpose and the reason why I'm here.
Is it difficult to go from playing on multiple NBA contenders the last few seasons to going to a team that's fighting to make the playoffs?
We'll find out. No, I feel like no. I think that I've been in the game long enough to know that it's not always going to be the brightest or the best or the easiest, whatever you want to say. But I think coming to a team and an organization that has the character of this team and organization makes basketball great. And that's why you want to come here and you want to play because, okay, hold on. That's why you want to come here and play because you feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourself. You feel like you're a part of a bigger team and a bigger purpose. So,
Going back to the mentorship aspect, can you think of a guy or two back in your early years who kind of served that role for you and what made it important?
Yeah, one was Andre Iguodala. He was a jerk. My rookie year, he was just on you, or he was on me. He was on me about a lot, and I didn't really understand why until later. He obviously saw something in me that I guess I hadn't seen yet, and just constantly being on me and harping on me about being consistent and the things that I have to do were super important. I had Elton Brand, who I think everybody knows Elton Brand's game, and his career has been amazing and what he's doing in Philly. I also had Aaron McKee as a coach. So he was kind of like my player coach who really instilled in me a lot of hard work. And because we were the same position, he coached me up a lot on how to be solid as a not just a human, or not just as a player, but as a human, and kind of how that translates on and off the court.
So with Iggy, was it just like try harder in practice, like every?
No, it wasn't try hard because I always had try hard. It was just like sometimes as a young kid, you might not lock in as much as you probably should, and obviously you have creativity and you might want to try things if it's defensively or offensively. And he would always tell me just be solid. So he would give me he would give me hints on when to pick and choose to be creative and when to take risks. But at the time, I think I was taking a lot. So
When you talked about the defensive side and seeing the improvement there, how do you feel like your skills and your abilities help improve a team defensively, kind of in the broad strokes?
hopefully just knowledge. Maybe something that I've seen that the young guys haven't seen yet, or just coming in with that same type of energy at the point guard position, guarding the point guard. Sometimes being head of the snake in that way could lead to a strong defense behind you. So not only that, communication. I know Chauncey has done a great job with them defensively, but honestly, whatever I can bring to the defensive end, I'm excited about.
Have you got a chance to check out Yang Hansen yet? Any of his highlights explain something?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a superstar. He's been hooping. We were talking about it earlier, just like about how much media and stuff that he's had, during Vegas. But it's he deserves it. He's been doing this thing. I'm not sure anybody kind of saw like how well he would play, but he's been out there playing well. So I'm excited.
What are your thoughts on playing for Chauncey?
Oh, I'm excited. I've always been a big fan of Chauncey. Obviously, again, a little older than these young guys, so I actually got to watch Chauncey play in his prime, especially Detroit. Me growing up a Laker fan, him playing with Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace and Rip Hamilton, like all these guys that I studied playing. So being able to be coached by a Hall of Fame coach or a Hall of Fame player is pretty cool.
In your conversation with him, what has he said to you about what he expects out of you, his expectations?
To be me, to bring the leadership that I've brought to multiple organizations, to be able to come in here and be as adaptable as possible. And again, the most important thing is to win.
Makeup of this team is a little bit different than the last few teams you've been on in terms of age. So just what is kind of your perspective on having more of a mentoring role this time around?
Just honestly, I can just be me. I don't really know how to do anything else. So come here and just be the person that I've always been. And again, try to not just help out as much as possible, but try to win. Obviously, again, with the organization and the coaching staff, they have a great coaching staff who have done a lot, and Hall of Fame coach in Chauncey. But I think as a current player who's kind of been through the struggle not too long ago to win the championship, I still have that feeling and that itch. So I'm kind of closer to what that feeling is like and how hard it is to actually win.
Just a couple more, y'all.
You have a lot of time to figure this out, but just based on what you've seen, how do you think you and Scoot can complement each other?
Scoot is aggressive, and how he gets to the basket is amazing. I think that me being able to space the floor and shoot the three is something that would help him out. And I know he's been shooting the ball better, and he's been in the gym and working. But I think for me, just being able to play off him, knowing that Scoot is kind of the next one up, and to be able to go out here and really just showcase what he can do.
Any other former Blazers you'd like to see come back?
LaMarcus Aldridge. No, I mean, honestly, it's been cool growing up a Laker fan because I've also watched the Portland Trail Blazers. But again, I think right now our current team, I'm really excited to play with and to get started.
Thanks, Lester. Appreciate
All right,
it.
guys.
Thanks.
And my Wi-Fi wasn't that bad.
Really good stuff there from Jrue. Really feel like, one, he just does a really nice job of answering questions. Two, he's honest without, I think he gives his honest opinion and knows how to state it in a way that doesn't come across in a way that is going to get taken out of context. Either way, I just thought it was really nice to talk to Jrue. The crinkling audio that you hear that I've noticed on the YouTube page, a lot of people talking about his son eating chips. He actually wasn't eating chips. He had a Gatorade bottle with the label on it, and he was kind of futzing with the label for a while until he wanted to get off Drew's lap and I believe go hang out with his grandparents. So that's the explanation for that, by the way, too. So yeah, I just thought just a lot of really good stuff there from Jrue, and again, I think a lot of reason to be excited about what Drew's going to do for this team going forward. And again, I just want to restate that, like, yes, Jrue Holiday is a veteran. Yes, he is going to be great for the young players on this team. Yes, he is going to be a leader in the locker room and on the court and off the floor. Yes, he's going to be able to show some of these young guys, the what it takes to be successful in the NBA on both sides of the ball. There's absolutely going to be a mentorship aspect to Jrue Holiday's time in Portland. But primarily, Jrue Holiday is here to help the Portland Trailblazers win games on the court. He was not brought in as yeah, let's have Jrue Holiday, with a pretty significant contract with multiple years on it. Let's bring him in and have him teach these young guys, and that's kind of our primary goal. Again, that's a great benefit of having a guy like Jrue Holiday on your team, but that is not the primary reason you trade for Jrue Holiday. You trade for Jrue Holiday because you feel like he is going to make your team better on the court as well. And that is the expectation of this team, is that Jrue Holiday is going to go out there and be an important player for this team, both on the court and off the court. And I'll keep on saying it too. Jrue Holiday started 60 games for the Boston Celtics last year, a very good team. 60 games. Now, granted, as time goes on, obviously, I think, every player eventually has to kind of get right with the fact that they're getting older and will probably, maybe see some of their minutes decrease throughout the years. But Jrue Holiday is still a very quality player who's going to be able to play significant minutes on a night-to-night basis. And it's great that Blazers have multiple guards, that particularly a guy in Scoot Henderson, who they are very excited about coming in and having the ability to start games as well. And heck, if they go into training camp, it's going to be a competition. Very possible that Scoot Henderson goes out and wins that competition and is Portland Trailblazers starting point guard on day one of the 2025-26 season. But also very possible that's Jrue Holiday. And again, the idea is not Drew's here to help us bring these young guys along. The idea is Drew's here to help us win games and bring these young guys along as we win games. So, I think that's really important to remember, that you get a whole lot of different things from Jrue Holiday, but primarily from the Trailblazers perspective, the main thing you get from Jrue Holiday is a very good player on your roster who can come in and make your team that much better on both sides of the ball, but particularly on the defensive end, where he is absolutely elite. That's why you get Jrue Holiday. That is why the Trailblazers got Jrue Holiday, and that is why the Trailblazers are very excited to have Jrue Holiday on this team going forward. Well, Jrue had mentioned in his press conference he hasn't really got a chance to see a whole lot of Portland and Oregon just yet. He is an LA guy, so he's a West Coast guy, so he's spent some time on the West Coast, and obviously he's been in the league for a long time, so he spent some time in Portland. But he did mention that this was kind of his first chance to get here and kind of get the lay of the land a little bit. At some point in time, you imagine he'll probably go out with his family and see some of the sites, maybe head out to the Oregon coast. And if he does head out to the Oregon coast, he should definitely stop by Spirit Mountain Casino, that has a variety of rooms from lavish premium suites to charming classic standards. The hotel at Spirit Mountain Casino has a type of room for everybody. The rooms at the hotel at Spirit Mountain Casino have all the essentials, from high-speed Wi-Fi, Jrue Holiday knowing a little something about the importance of high-speed Wi-Fi, to 24-hour front desk service. Choose the room that best suits you and book your stay today. Spirit Mountain Casino, Highway 18 in Grand Ronde. Elevate your game. Well, as is always the case when it comes to uniform and jersey news, it always leaks before it actually has an official announcement. So you've probably already seen at least mock-ups of the Trailblazers tweaked icon and association jerseys. Those are their red and black jerseys. They're standard NBA jerseys. I mean, I know that teams have a bunch of different jerseys now, but when I think of what are the team's uniforms, it's the icon and the association jerseys. Blazers making some tweaks to those jerseys, which were announced on Tuesday. As I mentioned, you've probably already seen some of it before the announcement, because when it comes to jersey stuff, between the retail piece and the NBA 2K piece and just all the different partners involved, it's pretty hard to keep that stuff under wraps, because you got to kind of cut people in on what's happening and what's changing. But the team did announce officially on Tuesday that they are making tweaks to their uniforms. So let's get to some of the details here. While staying true to Rip City's roots, the refreshed design features a clean, modern finish. The iconic Blazers sash remains front and center, now with a refined two-color look. That is one of the big changes, is they've taken silver out of the equation, which I know a lot of people didn't really like a whole lot in the first place. Our standard icon association jerseys, very popular. but never a bad idea to maybe kind of look at some of the things that could be changed or that would maybe benefit from a tweak. And those are some of the things Trailblazers have done. Silver going away being kind of one of those primary things. The pinwheel logo continues to anchor the shorts, while Rip City across the belt pays homage to the fans who pack Moda Center every night. The removal of the trim and the silver accents simplifies uniforms and focuses on the core black, university red, and white that have defined the team's uniform since 1970. That is actually also one of the other large changes is they removed the striping, the piping around the arms and around the neck. Actually, I have my old Trailblazers team uniform that you get when you join the Trailblazers as an employee. And as you can see here, quite a bit of piping, so on and so forth, around the jersey on the neck and on the arms. Those are now gone, along with the silver. Does this have the silver on it? Yeah, see, that has the silver on it. That's gone now. No more silver on the Icon and Association jerseys. Again, uniforms are pretty much the same. They've been modernized, is what the team is saying. Fresh takes on the tradition that pays homage to the deep roots in Rip City. The thing is, like, our standard white and black jerseys have always been very popular. They're beloved. So usually the team is really loath to make any kind of changes to those jerseys. But again, I do think through some testing and focus groups, I think they maybe found a few things that they felt like they can maybe change a little bit. The other thing too is, the rounded neck here is becoming more of a V neck as well. Just a little more background on kind of how it took place. Teams generally are not allowed to make changes to their core uniforms unless they're doing like a full rebrand. And those core uniforms being the Icon Association jerseys. That is not what the Trailblazers are doing. So they had to ask for permission to actually even make tweaks to the Icon Association because generally it has to be a full wholesale change of your entire look and feel in order to make changes to your Icon and Association jerseys. A lot of you have, the statement jersey, you can make changes to that. Obviously, the city jersey changes every single year, which is probably a little too often. So that's where you can make changes on a fairly regular basis. The Icon Association jerseys, you really aren't supposed to change them a whole lot. So the team had to actually go to the NBA and make the case for why they wanted to make a few tweaks to their jerseys without doing a full-on reset. Luckily, the NBA agreed to that. They were given special permission to make those minor updates to the core uniforms because they hadn't adjusted those uniforms in a very long time. And that's part of it too. Like I don't think that the NBA particularly likes teams to be changing kind of their core elements on a regular basis for a number of reasons. One, I just think it's probably bad for business. You want people to be able to associate a jersey with a team. Two, there's also, again, a retail piece. They don't want to be sitting on a whole bunch of jerseys that are now out of date that they haven't been able to sell. So there's always that piece as well. But for the Blazers, really, again, not the case because they haven't really made any changes to those Icon and Association jerseys. I think the last big change was, I think, 2007 when they added the silver, which, again, is really not all that big of a change because it was still the sash anyways. So Blazers getting that permission in order to make those changes. The design changes take about 2 to 3 years between the NBA and Nike to go out to market. So this has been something that the team and Nike and the NBA have been working on for a couple of years now. I think they probably settled on what those changes were going to be a while ago. It just takes a while to go through the process, which again is why the NBA generally doesn't allow teams to make changes to their standard jerseys because it is a long and detailed process from, again, the ideation to the production to all kinds of different things that myself and all of you who don't work in apparel design and production don't understand. And even probably some of you who do work in those fields probably don't understand some of that stuff either. One of the things too that was mentioned is that they've been working on these jerseys since Dame was on the team the last time. So before the trade, Dame had already kind of given his thoughts and opinions on some of these changes to the Icon Association jerseys. He's always been really interested in kind of the jerseys and the discussion of how they're going to look. I think particularly the black jersey was something that Dame had a fair amount of opinion about. It was something that he gives kind of Dame's involvement in a lot of different parts of the organization is why at least in the organization, he's one of the reasons why he's so beloved is because, I mean, and again, people, outside the organization wouldn't know this because, why would you? But like Dame has interest in a lot of different parts of the business and is willing to not necessarily just give his opinion because a lot of people are willing to give opinions, but to like be an active participant in those discussions about, maybe changes that could be made or why they shouldn't be made. And I know that Dame's had, influence and discussions about, again, a lot of the different parts of the business, which I know people really appreciate because, again, to have someone who's so important to the team on the court also care about how things are being displayed off the court, I think that it's probably a little uncommon for the NBA. And so, I know the team really appreciates that. And so Dame, he's always been a guy that they've asked, like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And, he gave his feedback on these jerseys again 2 years ago when he was still with the Trailblazers before moving to Milwaukee. So, the fact that he's back now in the first season where they're going to be wearing these tweed jerseys. Now, granted, Dame is very likely going to be out for the entire season, so I don't know how much he'll be wearing the jersey, but I imagine he will probably figure out an opportunity or two here and there to get the jersey on. So he will get to see kind of the fruits of some of his labor and some of his influence on these jerseys as well. And just to run down the changes one last time, there's simply removal of design elements. They actually didn't add anything to the uniforms. They just took some things away from the uniform to really distill it down to kind of some of its core properties. So all the silver has been removed from the jersey and the shorts to focus on the core team colors of black, red, university red, technically, if you really want to get to the Pantone colors, as I believe they're called, and white as a nod to the original team uniforms. Silver, as I mentioned, I was actually wrong about that. It wasn't 2007. It was that in 2002. So 23 years ago, added silver. Now silver going away. And again, I think it's probably a good move. I think white, black, red. That's what people associate with the Trailblazers. Silver, doesn't hurt, I guess, but when I think of Trailblazer colors, I don't necessarily think of silver, and I've been working for the team for almost 20 years now. So I think it makes some sense to move on from the silver. The refocused on the two color signature sash, which is a design element that the Blazers has been a standard of their uniform since 1978. They removed all the shoulder and neck trim as well to simplify and modernize a sleeker look. And I think that's a lot of what they were going for is like they wanted a sleeker. Modernized to me isn't even the right word. They just wanted it to be, again, sleeker and a little bit different. Now, modernizing it, like that gives it like the impression that like there's something modern about them. And I think really it's more of a kind of return to, how the jerseys looked before. I think maybe if anything, I would say they're more a little vintage now. I mean, you take away the piping and that really kind of changes the profile of them, I think. But other than that, like to me, I mean, you can call it a tweak, you can call it an update. I just don't know. Modernizing it seems like, I mean, I guess if something being modernized just means that it's changed in a new way, then I guess it's modern, but I don't know. It seems to me like more of a throwback than something that's more forward looking, which to me would be modernization. So whatever, doesn't matter anyways. They've been changed. No more silver, no more piping around the shoulders and the neck. The sash has been changed from red, white, and black to just red and black, as you can see here, as I mentioned. So it used to be red, white, silver, and I mean on the black. Now it's just red and white or red and silver. Or excuse me, red and black, which again kind of distills it down to the core principles of the Trailblazers uniform. And all the fonts remain the same as the current uniforms. The last time the font logo was updated was in 2017. This is an evolution, not a redesign. It's not broken. The team feels like they don't need to fix it. Our jerseys, our standard icon and association jerseys are generally beloved, so it wasn't necessarily to make large changes, but I think a few tweaks to maybe again distill them back into kind of the core elements of that jersey. I think makes a lot of sense. Seems like the feedback has generally been they don't look that much different, and for the differences people have seen, be like, yeah, I like that. I think it's a good tweak. So. Obviously, those are on sale at the Trailblazers fan shop, so get those where you can. Both Tumani and Shaedon doing the photo shoot for that. I thought they did a great job. Both those guys looking proper and dapper as well. So Trailblazers making small tweaks to their Icon Association jerseys. Pick them up wherever you get your Trailblazer jerseys. Fan shop, NBA.com. You should buy it from the fan shop. That'd be better. But wherever you get your jerseys, check them out. And finally, just a little bit of news. Actually, I don't even know if I'd say it's really news. It's really more just kind of a running update. Quite a few international competitions this summer. Portland Trail Blazers could conceivably have multiple players playing in multiple different international competitions. At this point in time, what we do know is that Deni Avdija is going to be playing for Israel at Eurobasket 2025, also known as the FIBA European Championships. They keep trying this Eurobasket thing, and just call it what it is. Like, it doesn't need a different name. They've tried like the World Cup of basketball as well. Just call it the World Championships. We all understand what that means. It's not soccer. We don't have. It's not a cup thing. We don't need to rip off the World Cup, just because FIFA and FIBA sound very much alike. But so Deni Avdija will be competing at Eurobasket 2025 in Poland. That starts at the end of August. However, at least in their roster release, Toumani Camara is not listed on Belgium's roster for Eurobasket, though it does say at the end of the release, quote, the possible participation of NBA players AJ Mitchell and Toumani Camara will be communicated as soon as possible. So it sounds like there's still a possibility that Toumani will play for Belgium, but it sounds like that is still a decision that is being made. My assumption is that's Toumani's call, because I can't imagine that they wouldn't want Toumani Camara on their team, but I think that's probably kind of comes down to Toumani and what his responsibilities are this offseason. So not entirely sure where Toumani stands in terms of his inclusion with the Belgian national team for 2025 Eurobasket, but as of right now, he's not listed on the roster, but that, as per the release, could be conveyed at a later date. As I mentioned, Eurobasket starts on August 27th. Belgium and Israel are in the same group, so if Toumani does end up playing, they will be facing off against each other in group play, which would be pretty fun. But as of right now, he is not on the roster, so not entirely sure what to take about that. The other thing that we do know, too, is that Yang Hansen reportedly will not be playing for China at the 2025 Asia Cup, which begins here just next week in Saudi Arabia. It sounds like Hansen spent a few more days in Las Vegas, went back to China, met with his former team, probably met with the Chinese national team, and at least the reports that I've seen stating that in an effort for Hansen to get back to Portland to kind of build some camaraderie and some relationships and get some practices in with his new teammates, that rather than participating at the Asia Cup in Saudi Arabia, and also too, he did just play 2 weeks of basketball at the Las Vegas Summer League and in the practices leading up to Las Vegas Summer League after having a dense schedule of workouts. So I'm guessing in some respects too, it's not even about Hansen coming back and spending time in Portland prior to the start of training camp, which I assume he's probably going to do. But also too, just kind of making sure that there's not putting too much load on him, particularly, to play and then stop and then play and then stop and play with the national team, with the summer league team, and in workouts, and that's a different kind of exercise, and then playing 5-on-5 at summer league, and that's different kind of workout, and then having some downtime and then playing at a FIBA championship or at least the Asian Cup in Saudi Arabia. That's a different kind of competition as well. So I wouldn't all be surprised if maybe the other, I wouldn't say concern, but just something for them to pay attention to is like, hey, how much load are we putting on Hansen? We definitely don't want to jeopardize his ability to get out there his rookie season. So if he's not going to play in the Asia Cup, which I'm sure obviously China would love to have him, but it also sounds too like the decision has been made to give him that competition off. I will also say too that if you look at the Asia Cup, like Australia also bringing a younger team. Dwap Reith not playing for Australia. I kind of figured that Dwap's time with the Australian national team was probably over. Same with Matisse, but that was confirmed. They are not neither one of those guys playing for Australia at the Asia Cup. You got to figure that Australia is the odds-on favorite or the overwhelming favorite to come out of the Asia Cup. But I also would imagine too that China's got to be right up there as well in terms of having the opportunity to medal at the Asia Cup. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. So I think that, so I guess what I'm saying is that China, I think, probably has a good chance to do well at the Asia Cup. Even if Hansen doesn't play, would their prospects be improved by Hansen playing? I imagine that would be the case because Hansen, as I think we saw in Las Vegas, a pretty good player in his own right at this point in time in his career, at 20 years old. But doesn't sound like he will be competing at the Asia Cup. Now, I will say, if you go to the Asia Cup page that's administered by FIBA and you click on the Chinese roster, it says that they haven't submitted their roster yet. Now, granted, the play starts next week, so maybe that is true. Maybe it's not. I don't know if there's been official word about Hansen, but we saw some reporting coming out of China last week that he wasn't going to play the Asia Cup, and I have no reason to believe that's not the case. So it sounds like Denny in for Eurobasket 2025, which starts at the end of August. Still not sure about Toumani Camara playing for Belgium, though it seems like as of right now, he's not on the roster, so you could probably infer a little bit from that. And then it also sounds like Hansen will not be participating with China at the Asia Cup, which starts next week in Saudi Arabia. Same for Duop Reith and Matisse Thybulle for the Australian national team. They will also not be competing at that competition for Australia. And that is an update on where the Trailblazers are going to be at internationally in this offseason, which is dwindling away super fast. So I'll be able to watch Denny and Israel at Eurobasket, and I think they probably got a pretty good chance in that competition as well, at least to get out of group play. Not entirely sure about their medal prospects, but I imagine that Israel will get out of group play. So that'll be something to pay attention to, but that's not until the end of August. But we'll have some more shows in between now and then. But that'll do it for this edition of The Briefcase. Thanks so much for joining me. As always, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We still got schedule release to happen here sometime in the next couple weeks. I believe the schedule for the in-season tournament will be released before that. So we'll get, I think, 4 or 5 of the Trailblazers scheduled games before the full schedule release, which I imagine will happen sometime in the middle of August, if not sooner. But until then, thanks so much for joining me. As always, we'll talk again soon. I am Casey Holdahl. Go Blazers.